Because as we know, the FIFA World Cup is currently happening, and Bafana Bafana did something that, I mean, look, I don't want to be a naysayer, but I think none of us really were expecting. Okay. And now what's happened is I thank you, Mike McCarb. He gave me the number of a gentleman who was born in Durban. I mean, this is a local man. He has represented various South African youth national teams. He left South Africa in 1995. And please stop me, sir, if any of this is incorrect. He played in Germany, he played in Ireland, and then really unfortunately had to retire from playing in 2001, and maybe we'll get there. He built one of the most impressive coaching careers in North American football. And I double checked that stat. That's a real thing. He is now a Canadian citizen as of the year 2000, which is why we've got him with us right now. So he's a very, very proudly South African Canadian. Alan Koch, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Keri. I appreciate it.
I am really excited to have you, and I'm so thankful that you did at such short notice. What time are you at the moment?
It's 7 o'clock in the morning here in Western Canada.
Okay. I really appreciate you doing this so early. Happy Saturday from a very sunny and beautiful so-called winter's day in KZN.
There's no such thing as a winter's day in KZN in comparison to Canada.
No, well, this I can only imagine. So tell me, when was the last time that you, Alan Koch, were in South Africa?
I think I was back, honestly, about 7 years ago. It's I've been gone for decades now, but like you mentioned, honestly, I'm an incredibly proud South African, but I'm also an incredibly proud Canadian too. So this is tomorrow's match is going to be really emotional, to be honest, because it's going to pull at my heartstrings.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, and I want to speak to you about that. Obviously, maybe we go right now because, I mean, ahead of this World Cup, I mean, it's the round of 32 clash. It's both of your homes, and you have been, well, I saw that you said it was a 50-50. Now, I don't know if that's just a man who is saying 50-50 because he doesn't want to make one of the sides unhappy, or if you truly in your heart think it's a 50-50.
Yeah, it's funny. I've had some friends of mine in South Africa, and I've had some friends here in Canada reach out to me about that, like saying, "Stop sitting on the fence."
Stop sitting on the fence.
But I genuinely do think it's a 50-50 match. The only thing, honestly, that I think would have swayed it more Canada's way is if Alphonso Davies, who is Canada's most iconic player, who I developed, to be honest, I gave him his professional debut. If he was fit, if he was healthy, if he was sharp, honestly, I think Canada would be the favorites. But I'm kind of going to still sit on that fence and say it is a 50-50 match.
Okay, let's just quickly jump to Alphonso Davies, because when I was reading up about you, and I was like, I mean, Alan, you've got a really remarkable background behind you. And anyone who doesn't know who Alan Koch is, just, I mean, write his name, Google will tell you the rest. I mean, what on earth do you look for in a 15-year-old that you can? I mean, because from what I saw, you got him a debut at Vancouver Whitecaps when he was 15. I mean, that's really, either he was incredibly impressive or you really just had the know-how, the C.
I think, to be honest, I think it's two things. I think he was an absolute specimen. He still is a specimen. He was just a unique protege. He had all the physical attributes, but he also had the mental side of the game figured out already at a 15-year-old. I was more scared to put him into that professional match than he was. Like, I remember standing there with my arm around him before he went into the game, and he was so calm and so relaxed, and I was like, am I doing the right thing? Like, I'm putting a 15-year-old out there. But it actually gave me the confidence, to be honest. I've given 4 15-year-olds now their professional debuts, and because of him, it's really allowed me to focus and zoning in what a young talented player looks like and what we need to do to give them the opportunity to be successful.
Alan, just from like a growing perspective, I mean, a 15-year-old boy is still a boy. And beside, I mean, he's obviously good with football, but when you are training him and you're putting him in, I mean, I'm just so intrigued. Like, how do you treat a 15-year-old? He's going through growth spurts, and I mean, his hormones are still changing. He's a child.
Yeah, there's 3 things that I look, and I don't think it's unique to me, but I look for your technical proficiency. Like, can you actually handle like the technical components of going into an elite level game? He had that. Others have had that I've worked with. Obviously, they weren't completely refined yet, but they were at an elite level to be able to do that. And then, do they actually at that age have the physical capacity? Because it is obviously you're getting thrown into an adult's game when you're 15 years old. But can you actually physically handle what you're going to go through. Not every 15-year-old can. Everybody develops at a different stage, but he was physically ready for it. And then, do you have the football IQ? And this is
Yeah.
getting into the real deep layers of the game. Like, do you actually have the football intelligence to handle what's going to actually happen in the game tactically? But also, do you have the emotional ability? Because when you throw a young player out there, you're not just throwing him out against the opposition. You're throwing him out to the elements. You're throwing him out to the fans. You're throwing him out to the social media backlash or the support that he's going to have to endure afterwards. So it's not just a soccer decision. It's really like, is this person who's a player, are they ready for the life consequences that they're about to embrace at the same time?
And what about from an age of just being paid? Because I don't know if different countries have got different ages that you are legally allowed to work. So, I mean, at 15, legally, is he allowed to work, or do you just kind of put it away for when he's old enough?
Yeah, I actually remember going through his contractual stuff. We had a general manager who handled that, but I remember going through with his parents. And obviously, when you're 15 years old, you're not legally allowed to sign a contract. You actually have to have your parents there with you. He was able to get paid. He didn't get paid much then. He gets paid millions and millions and millions of dollars now, obviously. But you have to go through the legalities of employment law, no matter what country you're working in at that time.
So that's wild. And then, I mean, this is just a question I have to ask, because it is a Saturday after all. When his team wins and he's 15 and they're all passing around the beer behind the scenes, it's like, what happens there? Is it a little sneaky one for the boy, or does he get a Coca-Cola? What's the
You know what? The game has evolved since when I played, because I remember when I played, what you express is exactly what would happen. But in this day and age, honestly, for the most part, there's not much alcohol or adult beverages being passed around in the change rooms. So the game has become so professional. Unless you win something incredibly special, it's very rare in most cultures now for there to be
really?
a certain type of celebration going on in the change room.
Oh, wow. I mean, dare I say, it feels like the sportsmen are advancing. I mean, look at that.
I don't know if the sportsmen are choosing that. I think it's more nutrition based, or dietitians and we're respecting their expertise, obviously, because they're obviously the specialists. But the game has become so the margins are so fine that players realize that they have to make sacrifices, no matter what it is. Like, every little thing they have to do right to give themselves a chance to be successful.
Now, this game tomorrow, let's just get straight into it. I mean, you are a South African man. You've got Canada playing. When the whistle goes tomorrow and you have to wear one shirt, what shirt are you wearing?
You know what's crazy is, I was thinking before this World Cup started to go pull out a couple of jerseys. I actually have a couple of my coaching jerseys behind, but I don't have any of my playing jerseys. They're all in boxes. But I have an old Bafana Kappa jersey. I was like, do I go pull that out? I think when I first came to Canada, they brought me into the Canadian national team to train with them when I first got here. So I've got an old school Canadian jersey too. Honestly, it's going to be emotional. Like, I don't really know what I'm going to feel. Like, I'm absolutely ecstatic. I'm ecstatic for South Africa, but I'm ecstatic for Canada, because the parallels are so unique, because this is the first time for both countries. Like, both countries have, to be honest, they've suffered to get to this point. Like, if you look at the ups and downs of Bafana Bafana, Canada has gone through those same ups and downs. So it's going to be an emotional game for both countries. I don't quite know how I'm going to react. I'm hopefully going to celebrate every goal, which will be a unique experience. And I feel like it's sitting on the fence again. I feel like I'm going to have a winner, but I'm also going to have a loser in this match too, unfortunately.
Well, I guess it's like me asking you if you've got a son and a daughter and they're going to play tennis opposite each other, to ask you which one you're rooting for. So I guess I can understand. And it's a well-deserved fence sitting. Alan, while I've got you with me, would you mind speaking about your retirement and why you retired? Because when I was looking that up, my heart really felt for you. And I say my heart, and I mean that. Do you mind speaking about your retirement?
No, I don't mind, not at all. Because I've actually coached and had to go manage a lot of players that have gone through it's an emotional thing when you have to retire. Like you give your life to the game. And obviously, I grew up in Durban. I grew up in South Africa. The love of the game for me came from South Africa. Like I used to go watch AmaZulu play. I would watch when Pirates and Chiefs came into town. I'd go watch the old Manning Rangers. Like it's the love of the game. So for me to go on the journey and make it as a professional at a low level, to be quite frank, and then I had the opportunity to go play in the League of Ireland. I played for Limerick. And when I was there, I had pericarditis, which is you get fluid around the heart. It would come up periodically. And I had to
How
take
did you
medication for
know?
it.
Like, how did
Yeah,
you realize that that was what you had?
yeah, I had massive chest pains. I had to go into hospital first in Canada to kind of assess what it is. They diagnosed me initially as having pericarditis, so I had to stop playing for a good 6 months. Then I got myself back into it, and then
And
it
what age
became
are we talking
reoccurring.
now? When the first time you realized that something was not okay?
Early 20s,
Sure, that's so
early 20s.
young.
Yeah. So, and to be honest, it's crazy because I don't mind sharing this. My coach at Limerick, his name is Tommy Lynch, who I'm actually still in touch with today. Like when I was coaching in New Zealand a few years ago, he actually was out there and we caught up, which was amazing. And he was super understanding. Like there were days where the body didn't feel right. I just couldn't
Yeah,
train.
yeah.
And got to a point where life is more important, hey? And as much as we love this game, we want to live life. So, with advice from medical people, had to make the right decision at that time. And it wasn't fun, to be brutally honest. I think any player or person that goes through something like that, it's not easy. And it's probably made me more empathetic and more compassionate for players that I've coached that have had to go through their moments. If it's a forced retirement through injury or players are getting older and they might be slowing down a little bit, I've
Sure.
actually always really focused on being very supportive of those players. And I think it's something that's it's dear to my heart, obviously, because I went through something very, very similar to.
I can't even imagine when you walk out the doctor's room or out of the coach's meeting and you've made that decision. I understand in order for me to literally live a life, I need to stop this thing I love so much. Do you feel that now in 2026 there is support for the players? Because as you said, everyone needs to retire. And what happens, unfortunately, with sports is that 40 is old, which is ridiculous. But think about it. You've got a whole life ahead of you still. And the thing that's been you, your team, your teammates, that, the direction you were given, as well as the discipline that comes with being in a team, falls away. And whether it's injury or you just lose your form or it's age, do you think that the players have got the support they need to be able to take them into the next part of their life after they play?
It's a brilliant question, to be honest. I think it's improved. I think player welfare or the welfare of the people that you work with in professional sports has improved. I think there's an awareness of it now.
Yeah.
So medical people, coaches are more supportive of physical challenges, mental challenges that people go through. But I think we still have a long way to go because
Yeah.
if you think about it as people and as players that are living their dream, like there's players in South Africa, there's players in Canada, there's players I've worked with everywhere around the world that they commit their entire lives to this. So
Yeah.
you're so vested that when it gets taken away, it's not easy to process. I think the positive more often than not is my situation. The positive byproduct of my playing challenge was my coaching career started early. So
Yeah.
now here I am. I've been coaching for 26 years professionally. That was the positive byproduct of a challenging situation at that time.
I mean, look, it's great that you're so positive about that now. I'm sure it took time. Was there ever a time when you were on the side of the field and were jealous of your players?
I don't think I've ever been jealous of any of my players. Like this week's been so unique. Like this week has been crazy. It's actually been surreal. Like we went in Vancouver to watch New Zealand play against Egypt. There were 6 players from the academy that I worked with in New Zealand that played.
No
Was I
ways.
jealous of? Was I jealous of them? Not at all. I was so proud of them. Then I turned on the Panama game. I forgot that I coached Christian Martinez, like the guys playing for Panama in the World Cup. Was I jealous? No, I was just ecstatic, like happy for these guys. And then Canada, obviously, there's lots of players from Canada I've worked with, but I think it's the opposite of jealousy. Like it's gratitude, it's excitement. I really hope for Alphonso that he can play tomorrow for Canada, because this guy's been injured for so long. Like he has given so much to the Canadian men's national team that it's like he deserves this opportunity. So no, jealousy never, not one iota, just gratitude, happiness for the opportunities that these players are getting.
I guess in your own right now, you can look and say, you are playing in the World Cup in the Canadian team, you're playing in the World Cup in the Panama team. So, I mean, that's with the New Zealand team. That's remarkable. I mean, I hope you get to kind of look at your past self and pat him on the back and say thank you, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like when you're in the journey and you're still keeping and you're going with it. It's one of those things. I think people say when you eventually stop the journey, then you can pause and actually reflect. Right now, it's just about enjoying it. The World Cup is. I remember being in South Africa in the 1986 World Cup. I'm showing my age a little bit. I listened to it on the radio. We didn't get on TV in South Africa in those days. So to go from being in Durban and listening to the World Cup on the radio to actually watching the World Cup and having players that I've coached and developed, honestly, it's surreal. Like it's pretty beautiful just to enjoy the moment.
I have a question. This is just because I can watch, but I don't really understand. And all the people around kind of give commentary about the different sports. And the last time Bafana played, not the time that we won now, but the time, we drew the time before. And when it comes down to the playing, everyone, if they do well, the players are amazing. And if they do poorly, Hugo Bruce, the coach, he's terrible. He's the worst thing that ever happened. We hate him. Okay. So from someone who is an international coach, when the team doesn't do well, whose fault is it?
It's always the coach's fault, to be honest. It's and you
Really?
know that. I think Hugo Bruce has said this. It's like you're the one that's responsible. If your team wins, all the credit goes to the players. If it doesn't work, hey, you know what? We have to have broad shoulders and we accept responsibility. It's we're the ones that have to make the decisions in terms of how we play, who's going to go play. But then obviously the players have to execute. So you always want to shelter your players. There's so much pressure on the pitch, and in those moments, I think we realize as professional coaches, that's what you sign up for. Like it's like I've been in the same stadium with the same fans, and they've sung my name and they've told me they love me. And I've been in that same stadium with the same fans, and they've told me they hated me. So you know what you sign up for, and that's where it's like you really try not to get too high with the highs or too low with the lows. Like that's not the job of the coach to get involved with that. Having said that, it's easier said than done, of course, and you can see Hugo Bruce's emotions after that Mexico game. That was a very disappointing performance, to be honest, and I think he owned it. But I do give him credit. I think him and his coaching staff have made some adjustments. I think they kind of released the players a little bit, and I think the South African player needs to be released. I think they're almost the types of players that if you put them in too much of a structure, it becomes very difficult. You give them the structure, but you have to give them the freedom. And you saw that in the last game. Maseko and Mofokeng, these guys were flying. And that's what they need to do against Canada. Although this is getting into the tactical side, the Canadians are going to be tough. They are aggressive. They are intense. They are going to be in your face. So this is going to be a beautiful clash. Like I actually can't wait just to watch the game, obviously as a fan first off, and then just really analyze like what's going on, like what are the players processing in the heat of the battle.
All right, so now Alan Koch, as a coach, now I am making you coach for a day for Bafana, and you have to play them tomorrow v Canada to beat Canada. What would some of your coach moves be? And excuse me if my vocab is wrong.
No, your vocab's excellent. honestly, I know that Canadian team really, really well, and I know the Canadian coach Jesse Marsh really, really well.
Exactly. So I want you to tell us, how do we beat you?
Yeah, I've coached against Jesse Marsh, and my team was actually beating them 2-0 in the US Open Cup semifinal match, and he made adjustments and they beat us in extra time. So I'm probably not the right person to ask how to beat him and his team, but I can share how they're going to play. Like they love to press. They're going to hound the Bafana Bafana all over the pitch. They're going to be in their face. They are full throttle. They're heavy metal football, and they're going to try come as quickly as they can. The only challenge for the Canadians is they're not very good at breaking teams down. So they don't actually have the ability to break down a team that's very well structured defensive. So if Bafana Bafana can do what they did in the last match and be composed and be disciplined defensively, I think the Canadians are going to get frustrated. And if you can frustrate them, then who knows what's going to happen. And then, as Bafana Bafana showed in the last match, in transition, they can hit anybody. So I know we're getting into the layers here, but I think South Africa have to be very, very disciplined, like be composed, manage it, and then see if they can hit them in those transition moments.
All right, we're taking notes, Coach. We're taking notes. I've taken so much of your time already. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know that you came to talk to us really early. Before we finish off with any of the other FIFA stuff, and I'd love to know your predictions for who you think is going to make it to the end. Is it true that you left coaching for 1 point to go and do a job in like selling lights or something? Is that real?
Yeah, that's well, I didn't leave coaching. I left playing when I had to stop playing.
Okay.
Yeah, when I stopped playing, and this is kind of directly to what you referenced earlier. When you finish playing, you don't know what you're going to do. All you've ever dreamt about is playing. So my two homes are obviously Durban and Vancouver in Canada. I went back to Vancouver, didn't know what to do. Literally old school in the newspaper. Applied for every job I could find in the newspaper. Got a job selling light fixtures and did it for 6 months. No disrespect to anybody who sells light fixtures, but I couldn't be passionate about talking about light fixtures. There were Tiffany lampshades and people were romanticizing these light fixtures. I couldn't do it. And I had to quit after 6 months, and I took a very, very low paying coaching job, and I've never looked back.
Okay, but for those 6 months there, you were just not keen on the light fixtures. They didn't rock your world.
No, and no disrespect to anybody who loves their light fixtures. That's just not my thing. So,
I've just got a message coming in from my SMS line quickly before I ask you about who you think is going to take it. Someone just said, with regards to Bafana playing Canada tomorrow, what is his name? I can't see the name here. It says, when Hugo Bruce experimented with a 5-3-2 against Mexico, it proved costly. Since reverting to the trusted 4-3-3, Bafana have looked far more comfortable and players understand their roles and familiarity, and this breeds confidence. Do you think if they stick to the 4-4-3, they have a chance? Did any of that make sense to you?
Yeah, makes complete sense to me. You know what? Whoever's analysis that is pretty accurate, to be quite honest. I think you actually have to play your team in the way that the players and the team are comfortable. And a lot of the time it's our job as a coach to kind of stay out of the way. Like, ironically, we're the one that had to give the players the structure, but we can't overcomplicate it. And you could literally see the Mexico game. Honestly, I think everybody in South Africa, we were like, I watched that game, I was cringing, to be honest, literally cringing. And I think everybody was. But since the team looks more comfortable playing a certain way, I think that's the way you have to play. Like, you have to make the players feel good. If players go into this match and they're second guessing themselves, they're second guessing the coach, I think that's a recipe for disaster. So yeah, whoever sent that question to you, I think it's a brilliant question, because I think you have to set the team up in a way that they are most used to playing and how they feel comfortable.
It was Manchla from Josini's. Manchla, well done. You win question of the day today. Alan, so as we go into the finals, now obviously I look at it like it's a pageant. So if we had a winner, okay, so the FIFA World Cup, Mr. FIFA World Cup, and then a first and second prince, who are your top three when it comes to FIFA World Cup, considering how they are playing and what you are seeing, your love of Canada and South Africa aside?
I'd love to say Bafana Bafana or Canada would go that far. I don't think that's realistic, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've got to be honest here.
Yeah, I think honestly, there's a few teams that are surprising people, and I'm going to start with those ones first. I think Morocco are so impressive, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know they have a tough game coming up, but I think they are probably the team from Africa that have the biggest chance of going far. They've done it before, so there's no reason why they can't get to another semi-final and maybe come third in the pageant. And then the other team that's also a bit of a surprise, but it's also being a host nation can inspire teams. It happened to South Korea before when they hosted. I think the USA, honestly, I think they're a special team. I think their fans are behind them. Austin Trusty, who I coached very briefly, scored for the US the other day, so that was another special moment, obviously,
well
too.
Done, Coach.
Yeah. Although he's not one of their big players, but it's special to see him do well. But I think they could go a long way too. I think they could be potentially a quarter or semi-finalist.
Oh my God! But now, Alan, the last thing we need is for Trump to have a podium finish in the FIFA World Cup. That's the last thing we need. I know, man. It'll be called the Trump World Cup soon. Then.
So I think that's probably what he calls it himself already. But I think in terms of the winners, I think France, are looking amazing. I think between Dembele and Mbappe, they've got some big time players. Spain, you would think, will be up there, but they haven't looked as great as they probably could look. My heritage, my grandmother came from Germany, so I'd love to see the Germans be there, but they've had their ups and downs. I think this is probably the most open World Cup, which is exciting. I think that's where, like I probably mentioned 4 or 5 names, and there's probably other names of potential teams that could win it. So that's exciting. I would like to see somebody who's never won it before win it. I think the joy for that country will be different level. Like in this day and age where every country is going through its ups and downs and its struggles, I think the joy of a good run for a nation in the World Cup is amazing. I think how that can uplift the country. You see what sports does in South Africa. It's amazing. And that happens in every country, to be honest. Sports is something that has the ability to unite all of us and bring us together and share these euphoric moments. So I'd love to see a country that's never won it before have success and lift the trophy too.
Oh, well, that would be great. You know, at the end of the day, whoever wins, congrats. There's going to be many podium finishes, and I'm really excited for tomorrow. What time is the game your time?
I think it's sometime in the afternoon. It's not an unrealistic time, thank goodness, because I know being in North America, we're quite lucky because every game is at a reasonable time. It might be a little bit later at night, but nothing in the middle of the night, thank goodness.
Yeah, well, listen, we wish everyone the best. Canada, go team. Bafana, go team. You know, may the best Bafana Bafana squad win. And I'm really grateful that you made some time with us today, honestly. Alan Koch, it's been an absolute pleasure and so grateful. And if you maybe want to drop us a voice note after the game tomorrow, I'd love to see what your take on what has happened.
Lovely, Keri. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. This has been live on Radio PlayZN. Alan Koch coming to us direct from Canada ahead of the Canadian Bafana Bafana game tomorrow. Hey, we're going to put this interview up. You'll find it on our Spotify, but you'll find it right now as well on our TikTok, as well as our YouTube, as well as our Instagram. Thank you so much. Alan, have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, great. Take care. Cheers.